You're listening to the Shipyard Cat Podcast, the unofficial SAFC podcast for fans everywhere.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the pod. We're here today to discuss the lovely draw against Liverpool, which finished 1-1, which we've got very high hopes of that game. And then we're going to be bringing you our thoughts and opinions on the up and coming game, which is a quick turnaround time for Saturday, away again, but down at Manchester City. Joining me to discuss this, we have Kev and we have Robin. Robin, how are you today?
To be honest, mate, I'm a little bit disappointed we didn't win. But, you know, as life goes, you can't argue, can you?
Exactly so. And Kev, likewise, how are you today, bud?
All right with that result, lads. I did say let's just call it a draw.
Exactly.
I get where Robin's coming from, to be fair. Like, you're 1-0 up. To be fair, Wirtz did well, you know, beating his man and then doing a bit of trickery. But Mukiele just got so unlucky with his leg being out. That shot was going for the corner flag.
Yeah.
But, yeah, a point against last season's champions.
Mhm.
That's not an easy game.
No, you both have touched on something that I wanted to start off the pod was, can we count that as, sounds horrible to say, but can we count that as 2 points lost? Or are we happy with the draw? Because before the end of the game, yes, myself and Robin both predicted wins. Kev, you predicted a draw. But nonetheless, this is still Liverpool, and we are still getting, in regards to speech from even Sky pundits, still newly promoted Sunderland. And you had a moany Jamie Carragher all the way through.
I love the fact it was Carragher and Sturridge. Where was the Sunderland representative in that unbiased gantry? I suppose
I'll
you
tell
could
you
take
where it was.
Dave
It was
Jones,
in the crowd.
but yeah. And what annoys me is it's Sunderland. It's the way it's said with such disdain. TalkSport did the same thing. How have Liverpool lost to Sunderland? It's Sunderland. How about you start treating our team with a bit of respect? Like, we're not at the bottom of the table for a reason.
Exactly.
But Robin, go on, mate. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I just want to come in there, mate, because I think you've been a little bit unfair. For a start, I mean, you know, Sturridge was with Jamie Redknapp, another ex-Liverpool player. Obviously, Carragher was on, com sort of thing, you know. I think TalkSport, to be fair, this week as well, because obviously, as previous listeners know, I do listen to it quite a bit in the background.
Just a smidge.
So, yeah, look, I actually think that people have been really good to us this week. I think, yeah, they're giving it that newly promoted, because let's face it, we are newly promoted still. It's not the turn of the year yet. We won the playoffs. You know, we had less time than Burnley and Leeds that finished 24 points above us to prepare for it. We're on the back foot straight away. Everyone's favourites to go down. And people must have read the interview with Gisolfi and stuff, which touched on previously and stuff, that, you know, we've managed to get these players in where, like Xhaka said, Gisolfi said, and like Speakman said, that other players and agents were saying, but you'll go down, you could go down. But Xhaka never got that. And that's the thing. It goes back that whole ethos of the club. We're a different club now. We're a massively different club. And I actually think that now on Sky and TalkSport, which, let's face it, they're probably the two biggest voices of the Premier League now, you know, with their audience, I think they're actually giving us a lot of kudos now and being fair.
Yeah, I just think it's the way. Like I say, it's just the way. It's that whole. It's Sunderland, therefore they should have been an easy pushover.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see exactly where you're coming from, Kev, because obviously Carragher was just all game to me prefer was it was like credit where credit is due to Sunderland. They've done this, they've done that, but how are we allowing Sunderland this much space? How are we allowing Sunderland to do that? And I'm like, the reason being is because you're playing majority of your team is playing out way out of position.
And for me,
That's the conversation
what,
for Slot.
why were they spending so much time defending?
Yeah.
Slot's come out in his post-match interview and said, "Oh, Sunderland didn't create many chances. Sunderland played very defensive." I counted on multiple occasions where Liverpool had 10 men behind the ball.
Yeah.
Like, you're at home against a newly promoted side and you're parking the bus.
Mhm.
Like, I thought Liverpool were meant to be this expansive, expressive team that attacks their opposition into submission, but they parked the bus and tried to beat us with Route One football.
Yeah.
Then they finally switched it up at half time, put Salah on, and still defended for their lives.
Mhm.
I mean, touched on that, Kev. That's what they said about us, that we are over the top when it's Route One and stuff. And I mean, the fact is, I'm sorry, but if Liverpool had paid all this money for Arne Slot and paid all this money for however many world record signings they've got,
Yeah.
and spent more money than anyone else in the Premier League this summer, and their argument is that you can't have this many people come into the team where we had twice as many and Regis has made it work, it shows the level of the coaching, or it shows that they've bought the wrong mentality of player.
Yeah.
We have bought the right mentality of player that are bought into the dream.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they're just playing for the shirt. They're playing for the badge. Whereas at
We've built
Liverpool,
we've
yeah,
built a
they're not.
team, whereas they've bought a load of individuals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
excuse me. I mean, the thing is, though, you'll see it's like, Florian Wirtz and Alexander Isak cost more than everyone put together.
Yeah. Good job you mentioned that, Robin, because their team cost a total of their summer spend, should I say, was a total of 450 million to our 155. So it's pretty much 3 times more than we've spent. And as Kev said, they just did not look in place. And the biggest highlight for me was, yes, Salah came on and did better for them, like made them a bit more alert. But to me, they only came alive the last 10 minutes of that game because they knew, wait a second, we are losing this game. Why are we losing this game? We need to go get somewhere. And look, obviously, luckily for them, Verts did a bit of skill trickery past the 1, 2, 3 men. And then, as Kev said, poor Mukiele, another day that shot's gone wide, takes a deflection on Mukiele, goes wide as well, goes out for a corner. It's just unfortunate that deflection took it in.
I mean, we'll touch on that goal because you're talking about it. I
Mhm.
mean, it's not just another day, it's every day that shot's wide.
Yeah.
It was nowhere near the target. And Slot makes an excuse going, at least he shot from inside the box. Yeah, he might have done, but the fact is it wasn't on target. At least with Taube's shot, it was on target. Yeah, if Virgil van Dijk didn't stick his backside out, thinking he's the best defender in the world and he doesn't actually have to defend, then yeah, it probably wouldn't have got that deflection. And it probably would have been saved by Allison. But you've got to think, Allison got very lucky with Trey Hume's shot earlier on in the game as well.
Yeah.
Whereas when you look at the two keepers, Russ looked a lot more comfortable and a lot more assured with what he was doing.
Mhm.
And yet, look, I love Allison. I think he is one of the best ever goalkeepers.
Mhm.
To me, he is up there with Manuel Neuer and Oliver Kahn, which I honestly think them two are probably, far ahead of everyone else in as an ex-goalkeeper, etc. I
Yeah.
think them two, when you look at their game and stuff like that, they are just above and beyond. I mean, Peter Schmeichel was to me, Peter Schmeichel was the greatest Premier League goalkeeper.
Yeah.
But Oliver Kahn and Manuel Neuer are head and shoulders above him. And that's for people that don't know the position, they need to look at that and see. But Alison Becker is up there with the rest of them.
Yeah.
And people talk about, obviously Donnarumma as well. Donnarumma's biggest weakness is his footwork and that. And then, you've got Adilson, obviously at Man City, who's been with us for years, but bloody hell, I'm going off on a tangent now. It's a bit weird just about goalkeepers. And we're going to be talking about Arne Slot. He was very picky and choosy with how he saw the game.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference. I'll let you continue, Adam, because I'm just going to keep ranting about goalkeepers for a while.
No, it's all right. You mentioned about Talby's goal, so it was nice to see. And this kid at the minute seems to love scoring a bit against the top six, doesn't he? And to me, well played for Virgil van Dijk in reenacting his inner Keith Moore to play the ball back to one of us. But I can't take anything away from that shot. That shot was just hit with force, direction, and beat the keeper. And at that point, I think all three of us would have looked at each other and went, what? How are we 1-0 up? It's nothing more short of what we deserved in that entire game at the time.
That's the way to look at it. We deserved that. We were at them. To be fair, we started the game really well as well. You notice it was about 15 minutes in. There was a tackle made, and the Liverpool players stayed down to try and stop the game for a minute or two so they could catch their breath. And that was the bit that shocked me the most, was the fact that this is the team that, like I say, won the league last year, and they had to press pause. And it was the same with after Talby's goal. They didn't know what to do with themselves because it was just Sunderland all of a sudden 1-0 up at Anfield. And yeah, you looked at Van Dijk, he sort of started blaming everyone around him. And it was like, no, that was you. You played the ball back, you lost possession. And sometimes you have to try your luck. There's always that thing, isn't it? If you take a shot like that, there is the chance there's going to get a deflection. There's a chance it's going to get a bobble. Something's going to happen. It might hit a beach ball, and it goes in.
Yeah,
and that's what it was for me. I think Talby saw the opportunity, saw the opening, and thought, "I'm going to have a go at this." And it was probably headed to the goalkeeper's left, but because of the clip off Van Dijk, it then goes to the opposite corner, and keeper's left scrambling. You take your chances. It's like you say, it's luck. And I mean, the Hume shot that he last minute gets a hand on, that shot gets taken gets taken 10 times. Probably 8 of those 10, that's getting nestled into the back of the net. You've probably got the odd occasion where a keeper catches a hand on it and it still goes in. Alisson did well to get that onto the bar. And Slot turns around in his post-match and says, that wasn't even a chance at goal. You hit the bar.
I think he needed his glasses back on, but clearly left them at home.
I mean, I'm just going to interject here because I say with that, Arne Slot was moaning about our goal came from a deflection outside the box. But how many shots did Soboslai have from outside the box?
Yeah, exactly.
Probably hoping for the exact same result. Hoping for a nick or a deflection.
Look, it's that thing. He's a manager under pressure. And he basically got lucky with a draw. Yeah, I mean, they piled on the pressure late on. But obviously only after Talby scored. Yeah. Before that, I think we had the best part of the game. We had the best chances. Alisson had to make the better save, so to speak. What Roofs made were, I'd say, routine saves for goalkeeper.
Yeah.
obviously then they piled on the pressure. They scored their deflected goal, which wasn't on target.
Mhm.
And then obviously, you know, from a corner, Robin Ruffs just, catches the ball and spots Wilson.
Mhm.
I mean, fair play to Chiesa, because he was the only one that saw any threat in that whatsoever.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up because I wanted to talk about that bit to effectively summarise the entirety of the Liverpool game, because obviously we could wax lyrical about how well we did well for that draw and things like that. But as you've just mentioned there, Robin, the claim and the grab from Roos, first of all from the corner, was what we've seen from him majority of the season anyway, being commanding in that box. You've said yourself numerous times how impressed we are of seeing him manage to collect that under pressure as well and calm. The thing for me was that vision, just to get that ball straight up to Isidore and for Isidore to run with the ball. Unfortunately, obviously, he didn't, to me, he didn't put enough power behind it to put it behind his man. But nevertheless, Case and making that run is brilliant. Only thing I didn't enjoy about that little bit of segment, and Kev, you may back me up again because obviously it's going referring to Sky saying about the whole Sunderland thing, is it's the 93rd minute. Case to track back that fast. Case who only came on 8 minutes ago. Of course he can run back that fast.
Well, if you could let me finish what I was going to say before you interrupted me rudely, Adam.
Makes a change.
Um, Obviously, yeah. Look, I mean, it's a brilliant spot by Riffs. Chiesa saw the danger. Yeah, he was probably 15 yards behind Easter at the time when the ball got released. But obviously, Easter had to control the ball. I think he pushed it a little bit wide, to be honest. But I suppose he felt he had to push it that wide to get it past Allison. Allison's a quality goalkeeper. There was also quite a bit of a tug on him where he
Yeah.
had to try and keep his feet, by Gazer, which obviously the VAR didn't want to know about that. And that's probably that thing that because he got his shot away, it's not going to be looked at. To me, though, and I think Wilson will be quite disappointed in himself. I think he had an opportunity to have a shot early. And I think he decided to take that extra touch. And that's why, to me, like I said at the start, I'm a little bit disappointed because I think he should have scored. And look, a point away at Anfield is a great point, especially with our record there. Well, to be fair, everyone's record at Anfield. Not many people win there, mainly because they get a lot of decisions from referees and such, and VAR and things. I mean, they're sort of like known as Liverpool lately. But yeah, I think going back to the original point, I think it's 2 points dropped. Every one of them lads out there gave a shift, and we just got to applaud them and hope they take it forward on Saturday.
Mhm. Your
Pretty
thoughts on it,
well
Kev?
wrapped up, to be fair, mate. Yeah, look, when you're 1-0 up with not long left to go, you are going to feel disappointed when you then don't take all 3 points.
Mhm.
Wilson's come out and I think on Instagram and posted saying, sorry, I couldn't get you the 3 points. So he's admitted it. The bit I want to just quickly mention before we move on is Mr.
Nico
Sunderland.
9!
Yeah, I mean, talk
Oh,
about
so we're going to
talk about
talk
the
about
full.
Ronaldo's man of the match or Mr. Brobby's first start, but no.
No, I think just fair play. Like it just shows the circle of life, doesn't it, in football? That lad, like he said in his interview, 13 years ago, was playing non-league because he got dropped by Watford.
So was another player that was ex-player that was in the crowd that night.
SKP.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
I
why
mean,
Sky didn't have him.
I mean, I was going to bring this up at the end of the podcast, but you spoilt it now.
well, we've got to talk about Man City. They
Yeah.
could have their own pod, to be fair. But no, that's what it was for me. It was just nice to have that moment and to put him on as a left winger. I mean, to be
Mhm.
honest, I think he was realistically told just go and defend. Because I think even
Yeah.
Sky turned around and went, "Oh, six at the back." Well, no, because you never know. We might have countered and won. But
Mhm.
yeah, and what a moment for him. What a moment for us to go to Liverpool and take a point, like I say, against a team that probably were expecting that to be an easy 3 points for them. Their fan base certainly did.
Yeah. I was going to say all over social, it's still there saying how how they feel like they've dropped 2 points out of the game, and it's like, okay, please rewatch your game and look at it like, properly.
You
And
drop 2 points against a team that's 4 points ahead of you in the league.
exactly. I digress though. Let's get into Man City. Once again, it's another hard game. Obviously, City was, to be fair, they were in a thriller just recently against Fulham. I believe it finished 5-4. Fulham should have, to me, by right, after watching that game, should have drew 5-5, but we'll let that lie. But that kind of a game just shows that there is chance there for us to go there and prove a point and be able to score goals. After that result against Liverpool, are we fearing a Man City resurgence, or are we going to feel similar to Liverpool, where we're full of confidence?
I think we should be confident. Thing is, that Man City's shown that they are fragile at the back. And this is what I said about Liverpool when we were previewing that game. And to be fair, like I said just before, we should have won it. So they are fragile at the back. The only difference is Man City going forward are another animal. They are the apex predator, of the Premier League. They've got Haaland, then if he's not scoring, or even if he's scoring one, they've got Foden who's found form. They've got
Yeah.
Doku, they got Guardiola. They've got goals from all over the pitch. And that's the worrying thing against City,
Mhm.
you know, and it's at the Etihad. So, yeah, their crowd's not as good as ours. They do quite often have a few empty seats as well. Um, and we got a quicker turnaround. They've had an extra day of rest. Remember that?
Mhm.
So, look, it's going to be a mentally and physically tough game against them, because they're one of those teams that when they get the rag between their teeth, they're non-stop.
Yeah.
And I fully expect it is going to be five at the back. I think there's going to be changes.
Mhm.
I think Wilson's going to come in for Robbie. I think purely because it's his pace, they're going to try and use that rather than the strength and hold-up play. I
Mhm.
think they're going to go for the pace because Man City play really high up the pitch. You've got to think at times with Man City, every single player is well inside the opponent's half,
Mhm.
except with Donnarumma. And we know Donnarumma is not the greatest with his feet.
Mhm.
Great shot stopper. And I must say, he's like previously, as I said about goalkeepers, he's probably one of the best shot stoppers there's ever been.
Mhm.
But the lad's a giant. But with his feet and his pace, he's not quite there. So if you can exploit that, then it's going to be a very interesting game.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the challenge we're going to face, isn't it? These are also second in the league. They're going to want to put the pressure on Arsenal. They're going to want to probably get the win to keep that gap between them and Arsenal as close as possible. I believe at the minute it's 2 or 3 points between them if they get the win. Whereas if Arsenal win at the weekend and City don't, that then starts opening that gap again. It's all at the minute. That's all you're hearing is people are trying to keep Arsenal on a leash. And obviously, yeah, teams like us are going to be the ones that have some input in that. I'm not saying we're going to get up there, you know what I mean? But yeah, if you get a result against Liverpool, against Man City, you all of a sudden impact the top of the league a little bit more because you're stealing points off the teams that want to be keeping the gap close to Arsenal. But yeah, I think what Robin's just said there is spot on. Foden's found his form. Doku's a handful. That Reinders, he seems to have found his feet. Donnarumma's a good, like you say, a very good goalkeeper. And for, you know, what it's worth, this is probably going to be a harder game in terms of defending than Liverpool was because of, like Robin said,
Mhm.
City will come at you all the time. Haaland's
Yeah.
probably one of the most lazy strikers in terms of movement. He does sort of float around a little bit and wander about, but by doing so, he becomes unpredictable.
Mhm.
Do you know
Very.
what I mean? You never see him sort of sprinting back, but he will hover around the halfway line and then drift between the players, and then before you know it, he's one on one with the goalkeeper. Do you know what I mean? He's so unpredictable with his movement, but he's quite. I
Smart.
say lazy is probably the wrong word. There's probably a better word for it. He just seems to meander about.
Yeah, I was going to just say that, Kev. I think lazy is the wrong word. I think intelligent is probably the other word that you could probably use for him. I think he doesn't waste energy.
Yeah.
He does come back and defend when he needs to. We've quite often seen him as a getting back there, being the last man and defending on corners and stuff. But what he likes to do is try and find that space, and that's the intelligence. He will move off somebody as if he's not a threat, and then all of a sudden go forward. And obviously, he's got pace. I mean, the size of him and the power of him. He just moves. He glides up the pitch.
Mhm.
He can put a ball pass on. He can get the ball out from defence, lay it off, and turn and go. And before you know it, he's clear. I mean, he is possibly the best number 9 I've ever seen in my life
Mhm.
for his overall play. I mean, he just broke the record of the quickest 100 Premier League goals, which is quite nice because it took it away from Mary Poppins. But yeah, I mean, he's one to watch. You got to think the defenders that we've got, we haven't got the sort of pace and stuff and the size. It's going to be a tough game for Danny Ballard,
Mhm.
100%. I think Alderete might be the one that's more likely to contain him. However, obviously, Haaland, being left-footed, likes to pull away to, his left, our right, whereas Alderete will be the right-sided centre-back. And that's why I said I think we'll go 3 at the back to try and, you know, nullify his movement.
Mhm. I just want to touch on one thing that I saw today. I think it's a load of nonsense, but I wanted to see what your guys' take on it was that I saw. Was I've seen a certain handful of Sunderland fans saying, "Oh, for this game we should be resting likes of Siddiqui and Xhaka." I understand why people are wanting to say that comment because obviously if they get a card this game, as we already know, they'll miss the derby the weekend after. Surely Xhaka would have had himself have a conversation with Siddiqui saying, right, this is another big tough test. Kev, you've mentioned on previous pods, so this is one of the games that Siddiqui really wanted to play in. Do we think this is where, as I say, Xhaka's had that conversation with Gwent, right, this is a very important game. Let's see it through. Try not to do anything silly. There's a bigger game the weekend after. what is your guys' logic to that? Do you think it's similar to what I'm thinking? Jack will have that conversation, or rest one?
It's the same reason the unwashed put Bruno Guimaraes on the bench the other weekend. They're trying to rest the legs a little bit on these players. It's not about the discipline necessarily. It's about It's about the physical conditioning. Um, for me personally, they've made it this far and they've shown such good resilience to not get any form of telling off in the last couple of games that you roll the dice. If one of them gets carded, they miss the derby, absolutely. But I would suggest if one of them gets carded, you substitute the other one off pretty quick.
Mhm.
But you're not going to drop Xhaka against City. It's not happening. You might drop Siddiqui because he did pick up a little bit of a niggle against Liverpool, but we've seen the grit that some of these lads show. They'd probably rub some dirt on it and just get back on the pitch. I know that's Trey Humes' mentality. Get head butted, rub some dirt on it. Am I bleeding? No. Let me back on the pitch. And,
I was
and
going
that,
to say,
that
literally, that's what he did against Liverpool.
yeah, and it was the same when a bit of friendly fire, wasn't it? It was when Ballard headed Wilson.
Yeah.
He gave his head a shake, got up and went, "I'm fine," and then carried on. So yeah, for me, the rumours of dropping one of them or both of them, I can't see it happening personally, but I will be devastated if either of them miss the derby. But that's going to get its whole own pod.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
I
to
mean, Robin,
me,
go on.
yeah, I'll say to me, I don't think you do that. I don't think the players are thinking that. I think that only one of them, if there's something they need to stop a breakaway goal, etc. I think one of them might pick up a yellow card, a cheap yellow card sort of thing. But if it's going to stop a goal to help us secure a point or 3 points or something, then I think the mentality of the lads is they're going to do everything to make sure we win that game. I don't think they're seeing past this game.
Mhm.
There was talk like previously that the lads might pick up a yellow. I mean, Siddiqui said he wanted to play at Anfield and stuff. So there's talk about him like picking up a card against Bournemouth, so he'd miss, or Fulham, sorry, so he'd miss the Bournemouth match. And yet these lads have been on a tightrope for a while. I just think they're going to be professional and they're going to do what needs to be done. I mean, you got to think with Siddiqui's cards. I mean, one of them came from obviously being frustrated about getting fouled and then lunging into someone.
Yeah.
So he's managed to keep his temper. I don't think that either of them are going to get booked, to be honest.
Mhm.
I think they're going to be fine with everything. So
Yeah.
yeah. Look, it's gonna be an absolutely mentally, physically tough game. But look, we're sitting sixth in the Premier League
Exactly. So yeah.
on merit. Let's face it, on merit. 14 games now.
Hmm. Exactly. So we're sitting nice and pretty at the moment. Obviously, things can change, but obviously we'll keep our fingers and toes crossed. Let's get the pod to a closure with some predictions. Robin, I'm going to start with you this week, bud. What's your prediction?
Oh, thanks for that.
No pressure.
I'm gonna do what we did the other night. It's gonna be a 1-1. I think we're gonna come away with something. I think it's gonna be really tough.
Okay.
But I can see a scoring. I can see a red card as well for Man City, to be honest.
Yeah. Do you want
But
to
I
try and
think,
guess who?
personally, I think it's going to be Donnarumma, and I think it's going to be a penalty, and I think they'll sub on James Trafford, and he'll save it. And if anyone puts that in a bet and it comes true, then I want a percentage.
I think we all would want some. Kev, go on then. What's your prediction, mate?
I honestly don't know, mate. I spent all my efforts predicting the Liverpool one. This one's got me stumped. I would love nothing more than to go to the Etihad to get some points. Genuinely, a win in there would topple the league. There would be people genuinely probably cancelling their tickets to the derby from the Newcastle end. Because to be fair, there's been some messages my way over the last 24 hours because of the Liverpool game. Where's this Sunderland come from? Oh God. Let's just put us down for a 1-0 win. It's not going to happen, but yeah, 1-0 win for us. And
Yeah.
hey, a pen would be lovely. I don't think it'd be a red, but I think a penalty would be probably the icing on the cake. And watching Pep absolutely cry that it wasn't fair would be my ideal.
Pep, Slot, Arteta.
It's
It's
the
the same
boohoo
thing
club,
with
isn't
all
it?
of
It's
them,
it,
isn't it?
it's when it doesn't go their way. They all stand on the touchline, stamping the feet. Hammering's the same. Watch the West Ham game tonight. The decisions don't go their way. They stamp the feet and they have a little paddy, and the referee goes, "Oh, sorry." But anyway, over to you, Adam.
Yeah, my prediction's the same as yourself, Kev. 1-0. We've got that lovely hoodoo still of. I still remember the days of when we were beating City 1-0 at home, just somehow pulling it out of the bag in like the 85th or even a G offside goal. But hey, it was onside all day long, that goal, if you remember.
Yeah, thank God there wasn't VAR then.
Exactly. But miles onside, Robin. Miles onside. Don't know what you're talking about. But no, lads, let's bring that to a close then. It does mean a lot for you to join me. So thanks to you, Kev, joining me there.
Fine, mate. Pleasure as always.
Excellent. Thanks to you, Robin.
Yeah, thanks, Anna. Thanks, Kev. Yeah, it's good to do this with you, lads.
Indeed, it is. As ever, everyone, thank you very much for listening as well, and we'll see you all on the next one.